It's a real pleasure for me to celebrate the Eucharist on this Holy Thursday evening in this fine church of the Holy Redeemer. Its impressive layout manages to draw us very successfully, I think, into the very centre of the liturgical space, which of course is the altar and the tabernacle here in the church. And as you can see, there's a representation on the back wall, on what's known as the reredos, of the 12 apostles. And they remind us of the event that we celebrate tonight, the Last Supper. This church truly lends itself to prayerful reflection, where distraction is really at a minimum. And it is, as a result, a very reflective place, I find, always to gather and to worship. Now, this church, as you know, was officially opened in 1969, and it was built for the needs of that day, but not for those needs alone. It was built in confidence that it would serve generations in the future as a centre of living faith. Now, 56 years later, that still rings true. The challenges are much greater than they were in 1969. But a church like this is still at the heart of the community, serving the grandchildren and great-grandchildren of the people whose donations built this church. And please God, it always will. And the oils that were brought up at the beginning of the Mass, it's a commentary, I think it's Brian that read the commentary, very clearly explaining for us the role that those oils have in the sacraments. And this church is very much a centre of the sacraments of the church, points in our lives where God's grace is felt most clearly. And think of all the people over the years since 1969 who have received the sacraments here in this building. All the children that were baptized, all the children that received First Communion, all the children that were confirmed, all the people who were married here, all the people whose funerals took place here in this church. And we remember each and every one of them, especially tonight, because I know that for each of you here, there is a special memory attached to this church, maybe one that goes back over 56 years, or perhaps one that might only go back over the last few months or weeks. Gathering together as a group or as a community is at the heart of all major religions and faith systems, but none more so than the Christian faith, and particularly the Catholic faith. For us as Catholics, gathering is absolutely essential, and it surpasses all other forms of Christian prayer and worship. The reason why this is the case is quite simple. The founder of our church, Jesus Christ, asked us, as I said at the beginning of the Mass, to gather in his memory. Not only that, but he promised and he guaranteed that when we gathered together, no matter how small that gathering may be, he would be present here among us. And that is the real heart of our belief, that Jesus is present with us. We are guaranteed that when we gather together as a community. Nowhere can we experience the presence of the divine quite like we experience it here in this place and in every church like it when we gather to celebrate the Eucharist. Another word for the Eucharist is communion, and this word has all sorts of connotations. It reminds us of inclusiveness and of everyone belonging together. The Mass, the Eucharist, should bring us together as a community and strengthen the bonds between us. True faith, even though it can also be a personal thing, begins and ends with other people in the community, in the local church. We cannot really say that we can worship God in our own time, in our own way. Such thinking isn't Christian. It certainly isn't Catholic. The poet Philip Larkin, in his poem Churchgoing, said that churches have an aura because they satisfy in us a hunger to be more serious. Spiritual hunger is part of the human condition. It will find outlets and means of expression in the years to come, even in the midst of an increasingly secular and atheistic world. We as a church must be ready to always answer that hunger, to be poised to help people to understand the power of communion, of being together to celebrate Christ's presence among us, and to receive Christ's presence in the bread and wine. Jesus himself gives us an indication of how we might do that in tonight's gospel, by getting down on his knees and washing his friends and his disciples' feet. His example of service to others, of love in action, is a powerful witness to what we should be about as his followers. Our witness to genuine service, not lip service, can help to bring people back into our churches. If we welcome them, no matter what their past, what their background, their frailty, their sin, then we will bring Jesus into a world that cries out for authentic love and for genuine compassion. So now at this stage in the ceremony tonight, I will wash the feet of some representatives of this community. And by this action, we are remembering in just a small way, in a token way, Jesus' humility and sacrifice. But we're also giving an example of what the Eucharist, what Holy Communion is all about: humble service, love, and forgiveness.